After all her trials, Cinderella's kindness had lifted her from the ashes to the palace halls. But true magic, she soon learned, was not in glass slippers or a pumpkin carriage. It was in the goodness we share. Every morning, as the sun's first rays kissed the castle towers, Cinderella would stand on her balcony, not just admiring her new home, but looking toward the distant rooftop of her old one. She remembered the cold stone floors, the endless chores, and the lonely days when kindness was her only friend. It was a past she didn't want to forget, because it reminded her of where her true strength came from. One crisp morning, a chill wind swept through the courtyard. From her balcony, Cinderella noticed a young kitchen maid shivering, her arms wrapped tightly around herself. The girl's shawl was thin and worn, no match for the biting cold. Without a moment's hesitation, Cinderella returned to her chambers, took a warm woolen shawl from her own wardrobe, and quietly went down to the courtyard. She approached the servant, whose eyes widened in surprise. With a gentle smile, Cinderella wrapped the shawl around the girl's shoulders. No words were exchanged, but the gesture spoke volumes, an act of shared warmth and understanding. That small act of kindness was like a single, warm ember dropped into a pile of dry kindling. It didn't take long for a fire of compassion to spread throughout the castle. The servant, warmed by the princess's shawl and her generosity, later shared a portion of her meal with an elderly stable hand. The stable hand, touched by this unexpected gift, then took the time to mend a page boy's torn tunic. Soon, smiles were being shared as freely as greetings. Laughter echoed in hallways that were once silent and stern. People started offering help without being asked, mending not just broken objects, but also fractured spirits. The entire palace began to feel less like a fortress of stone and more like a home filled with a large, caring family. News of the changing atmosphere in the castle eventually reached Cinderella's stepsisters. They had been living in quiet shame, expecting retribution for their years of cruelty. When they were summoned before Cinderella, they bowed their heads, their hearts heavy with guilt and fear. But instead of anger or cold justice, they saw only compassion in her eyes. Cinderella extended her hand, not in judgment, but in an offering of forgiveness. She understood that their cruelty came from their own unhappiness. In that moment, she chose to heal old wounds rather than create new ones, showing them that the path to redemption was paved with grace, not vengeance. Cinderella's kindness soon flowed beyond the castle walls. She remembered the days she had gone hungry, the nights she had felt hopeless. With the prince's blessing, she began organizing efforts to help the villagers. She walked through the town, not as a distant royal figure, but as a friend, personally handing out bread to hungry children and distributing warm clothes to those in need. The villagers, who once whispered her name as the girl from the fairy tale, now saw her as a beacon of hope and a true leader. She listened to their stories, shared in their struggles, and proved that her heart was as golden as her crown. The king, a wise and observant ruler, watched his daughter-in-law with immense pride. He saw her teaching children to read in the village square, comforting the sick, and inspiring his own court to look beyond their titles and serve the people. He realized that the quiet strength she possessed, the power of her gentle heart, was more influential than any army, more valuable than any treasure in the royal vault. Her reign was not one of power, but of compassion, and it was transforming the kingdom from the inside out. Under her care, the land itself seemed to rejoice. The castle gardens bloomed more vibrantly than ever before. The fields yielded bountiful harvests, and the entire kingdom felt a renewed sense of peace and prosperity. It was as if the very soil was nourished by the kindness that had become the kingdom's unspoken law. People worked together, celebrated together, and supported one another. building a community stronger than any wall could protect. Cinderella had found a magic far more profound than the one her fairy godmother had bestowed upon her for a single night. She discovered that the smallest acts, a warm smile to a stranger, a kind word to someone in despair, a helping hand offered without expectation, held the power to change hearts to mend a broken world, just as her fairy godmother had once changed her own fate. And so, Cinderella's true magic lived on, not in wands or spells that fade at midnight, but in the enduring power of kindness, a light that would shine brightly, forever and ever. Thanks for watching our story. If you enjoyed it, please give us a like and subscribe for more magical tales. We'd love to see you again soon.